Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to make a major upgrade to the hydraulic system on my tractor. And the way we're going to do that is actually replacing the hydraulic pump with this more powerful, higher flow unit. The pump comes from a company called HydrosPlus, and I've been talking to the owner of the company for the last couple weeks and trying to understand what their products offer for a tractor owner like myself. And I'd heard about their products and was intrigued and considered buying them a couple times, but after talking to him, I'm really starting to see more and more reasons that you might want to do this. I was mainly thinking of it in terms of being able to run higher demand hydraulic implements or to run hydraulic implements at a faster pace. And that is a nice benefit, and we're going to get into that. But there's actually a lot of reasons for just everyday usability of the tractor that you already have, and just normal operations with a bucket on it. You're going to feel a difference running this pump. So my intention today was to do an install video. And then I watched the HydrosPlus install video, and after watching that and being honest, I said I can't make a better install video. He was so detailed in every little aspect of how to start the bolt, and if you're having trouble, maybe leverage the motor out a little bit, try this wrench, try another wrench, and put it in endways. And he was just super thorough on every aspect of the install and things you might run into. So what I'm going to do today is install my pump, tell you anything that really stood out to me from the difference between watching the HydrosPlus install video and doing it myself. Try to help bridge that gap. If I have problems or anything else I'd like to add, then once the pump's installed and we're up and running, I want to give a full list of reasons that you might want to do this that maybe are some extra reasons that you might not have thought of. So I'm excited to tell you all that, but I want to get the work done first. So step one is really straightforward. That is removing the four-wheel drive shaft. Pop a couple bolts out of this guard, and then pull two of these caps for your U-joint. Then that'll let you pull back on the U-joint, and then you slide the drive shaft off back here, and now we have a two-wheel drive tractor. This now becomes a great time to grease our drive shaft, because we all know this is like the most annoying thing to try to grease on the tractor, and it's right out here in front of me, so good time to get that done too. As I watched the instructional video, the next thing he did was remove this rod, which is a linkage from your brake pedals that goes back. And he said that gives you better access to come in and work on it from the side. Then he asked me if I had the mower deck and said that could cause a hindrance, because all of this is even more in the way than that one component he's having me remove. So I'm going to hope not to remove all this, so I'm not even going to remove that linkage until it comes to a point where I have to. The next thing he did was remove the hydraulic hose from right here, and he disconnected it on both ends. And just because of all this obstruction, I'm going to try only removing it from that end and see what I get. So we took our drive shaft off right here, and just right in front of that is the hydraulic pump. This is the hose we're going to take off, and I believe he took it off at the other end first because he wants to be able to access through this hole to turn these little bolts right here. The biggest hassle of doing this is that these bolts are blocked by this port and this fitting. But basically you're going to take these two fittings off and those two bolts out and take this off and put it back in. Now the difference between my video and his video is he showed you every second of fighting to get that in and out, and I'm just going to do it and then come back. Well, my plan is to only take it off at this end because I have all this extra stuff over here. There's an actuator and all kinds of extra hardware that's just in the way. All right, now that I got the hose off of right here, I take these two lines off, and this will just unscrew out of here, and then this fitting right here needs to come out of the pump. It goes in the new pump. So I'm going to take these 2 lines loose and take these 2 fittings out. Okay, next, you saw those bolts didn't have much room to access, the ones that actually hold the pump on. So they give you this little cut-off hex key and a little stubby ratcheting wrench that fits it. So you're going to put that stubby piece in, and then you're going to fight with it, and you're going to use this to turn that bolt on both sides. I'm not even going to try to take the camera down there for that. Now, as I got under there, I found this doesn't have enough torque. You can get it onto that little socket, but you can't turn it. And so I was looking for a cheater. I tried using another wrench on the open end as a cheater. But what the guy from HydrosPlus suggested for a cheater is get your box stand on one side of this and then put a hex key into the open end, and that gives you more leverage. So it was a fight trying to get the bolts out of the old pump. And now that they're out, I just have to switch this gear over to here, taking that nut off, and then it's the reverse process. Actually, and then we have to fill this with grease to prime it for oil. Now, I had to go rent a 3-jaw puller to pull this gear off so we can put it onto here. So now we need to prime this pump, and we're going to do that by packing it full of petroleum jelly, which breaks down and can mix with your hydraulic fluid. It might seem odd, but that's what the John Deere service manual states when replacing this pump. So I'm poking this petroleum jelly down in here, packing this infeed full, and then once it's full, I rotate the top gear, and you can see it kind of suck some of that down in, and then I pack it full again, and now it's finally starting to come out this hole here. And we'll just continue to do that till both holes are filled. Install is done. I would not call it a complicated or a difficult install, really. There is a lot of hassle involved, and if you've ever worked on anything, you know what I'm talking about. You're trying to hold something above your head, and there's no clearance to work the wrench, and it's annoying to work on things like that. But it's all just part of it, and I was able to get it done. So now we're going to fire it up and see if we have any leaks, see if anything blows up, and see if we can tell a difference in the hydraulics. And then I want to talk about the advantages to making a change like this. Why would anyone spend the money to do it? So we'll get into all that after we make sure we don't have a problem. So as always, when you make a change like this on a video, you think, how can I demonstrate the change for the viewer? And I was thinking of a little test I could do. Whoa, not needed. Immediate. As soon as I started to lift that boom, the loader came up twice as fast as normal. It's like, okay, this has clearly made the difference we wanted it to make. Priming the pump was immediate. I don't see any leaks underneath. So I'm going to get my hoses connected here. And then I want to talk about all of the reasons to do this. So in terms of reason to have this, my original thought was, the reason I first thought about this upgrade is I wanted one of those lane sharks that goes on your loader and it articulates and lets you mow like along a fence row or different things. And you needed like 8 gallons per minute flow to your auxiliary function, and I didn't have that. I think mine was 5. And you always get one number of this is your flow, but like 3 or 4 or 5 gallons per minute of that is used for the steering. The rest of it is used for an implement or for anything hydraulic on the tractor. It comes off of that other 5 gallons per minute or whatever you've got. And I still have an interest in using attachments like that, but really there are a lot of other options in terms of attachments that could be really handy. I've always wanted a front mount auger. If you've ever used an auger or a post hole digger, you know that on a little tractor like this where you run into a problem, it'll drill and come out and drill and come out just fine in perfect clean dirt. But as soon as you hit a big rock, you've got a problem and you're disassembling it and turning it backward to try to get it out of the hole. My 3-point lift just doesn't have the power to lift out around one of those rocks, and there's no reverse. So having reverse on an auger is a big deal. Well, if you can power a hydraulic motor on an attachment, you can run it and have forward and reverse. And that's an option. You could have a front mount flail mower that runs off hydraulics, or a front mount brush cutter, or a broom. Now, HydrosPlus actually has a loader mount auger that you can buy right now and put on and take advantage of this extra flow. But I don't have one to demonstrate. I'm thinking I may have to put restrictors on my third function because I think these grapples are going to open and close too quickly. So let's find that out real quick, because I noticed such a difference in how fast the boom came up. It could be an issue. And Artilian, which Artilian makes this grapple and my other grapple, they actually, I believe, have a flow restriction kit you can put on. But right now, I've only hooked up one of these two grapples because I've got a hydraulic leak on my fittings for my third function on this side. So I had to order some fittings. I'm waiting on those, so I can't run both clamps right now. But let's see how much difference this makes in how that moves. I don't want to cycle that anymore because I'm squirting hydraulic fluid out. But you could see how much faster it moves. It's pretty dramatic. You also might have saw there at the end, by feathering into the control, I can run it faster or slower. So I haven't made my mind up about using restrictors yet. But now let's talk about other things besides specific front end hydraulic attachments that might cause you to want a faster or a better hydraulic pump. Let's see if I can run two functions at once. Because one of my theories is that I'm going to be able to run two functions at once. Now this mechanical self-leveling loader, as I come down, it's going to curl naturally. That's part of its design, but you can also override that. So I want to see if I can lift and curl at the same time, basically. Sometimes you get an upgrade like this that seems like a good idea, but then in the real world, you just don't notice the effect. This is not a case for that. It was so responsive and quick, and the ability to quickly do two functions is through the roof. It's a huge improvement. So now let's talk about the next reason that you might want to do this. So we had different attachments. We had two functions at once on the loader. The next thing is, if you want bigger or more powerful hydraulic cylinders on your loader, and you made no other changes, you just switched to a bigger cylinder. With the bigger capacity of that cylinder, now your loader would move at half speed. So this HydrosPlus upgrade is giving us the option to upgrade to larger cylinders on the loader and the backhoe. So now I talked about the ability to do two functions on the loader, which is nice, but it's never been something that just bugged me, especially with the self-leveling loader. Feels like my loader controls have always been okay, but I really have felt like there was a problem with the backhoe not being able to do multiple functions and not really having as much power as I'd like to have. So I'm going to be upgrading these cylinders, and I'll have the extra flow to handle that. But now I should be able to do multiple functions without even turning my throttle all the way up. Should be. Let's find out. No question about it, it's an obvious upgrade. It moves smoother and faster, and I did that at low idle. So I used to fight with what's the best RPM range to run this at. So I felt like I needed to turn the RPMs up to get a little more power, but then it would be too jerky. So felt really nice first time testing that out with the extra flow. But I think when this backhoe is really going to come to life is when I upgrade these cylinders. Plus I'm also doing another bucket upgrade. So we're really going to see, I'm going to see if I can push over trees with this thing. And for that, I'll be using the Be Expanded Ripper. So the final reason that I can think of to do this upgrade that I've done today is saving fuel and taking some of the excess load off your tractor. So you actually want to run the engine under load, which means only use the amount of throttle that you need for the work. Now with loader work, it would feel like you needed to increase your throttle to have the power on the loader, but then you're running more throttle than you need when you're just kind of turning and taking this over there. So you're either working the throttle all the time or you're running full throttle and you're wasting fuel. With this, I'm now going to have plenty of hydraulic flow, increased pressure, and more capacity on my loader without ramping up the RPMs. So this is going to allow me to run the tractor at a lower RPM. I'm really happy with this upgrade. I'm excited to move on to the next thing. I appreciate you guys taking time to watch this video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.